We are not just a group of individuals. We are a powerful force. Together, we are unstoppable. Each of us brings unique strengths, and when we combine them, there's nothing we can't achieve. Challenges will come, but we face them head-on, with courage and determination. There are no quitters here, only winners. We push each other to be better, to strive for greatness, and to never settle for anything less. Remember, our success depends on each and every one of us. Stay focused, stay united, and let's make our mark. We rise together, we conquer together. Now let's go out there and show the world what we're made of. We are unstoppable.
That one is just absolutely beautiful. See, am I going to pop up? Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ghost Cats and Cryptids. Good to see everybody in the chat saying hi to everybody. This is awesome. Love the family. Love this camaraderie. And yes, I see Sam had mentioned too that just so you know, the lowdown with Jared there, he has a show coming up at 8 p.m. tonight. So make sure you please check that out. I'll say hi to everybody and then I'll just get right into it. So BMO was the first one in. Yay. Hey, BMO, good to see you. So happy you could be here. Then, of course, our executive producer, Sam from Sam's Pretty Paranormal. I'm really looking forward to her show Friday night. She had to postpone it, but I want to see this live investigation that she does. Hopefully, the weather will permit and allow her to do that. And then we had Kurt W. in the house. Thank you for being here. And like I said, Jared from the Lowdown podcast is in the house. So I'm glad to see everybody. Miss Mary, it is so good to see you. Glad to see you back. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And then Ben, it's good to see you. Nice to have you here. We have BDA, we have the Wojo, Curious Cryptids is in the house. And if you missed her show, her premiere Wednesday night, please make sure you get over to her channel and check that out. Curious's show is going to be phenomenal. She just went over kind of an introduction of herself and what her show is going to be about. And I really do think that it's going to be phenomenal. Curious is a great researcher. She does amazing work. This family is growing. We now have a Facebook page for MeBro, Mother Earth Bigfoot Research Organization. There is a YouTube channel that Richie's still trying to get the hang of and stuff, but we're climbing. That's what Richie wants to do, is he just wants to climb. We want to raise everybody up. So make sure that you help out with that. And so tonight I decided that the next 3 shows, because I have my next 3 shows planned out. The third one will be a special night because I will not be around. I will be at, I will have a table at the Paranormal Horror Convention in Augusta, trying to get sighting reports, talking to others and stuff. So it will be it'll be a busy weekend, and I won't be able to get home in time for the podcast. So I will have it on a special night. I'll make sure to announce that when the time gets closer and stuff. Hey, Tim, good to see you. Yes, Sam, thank you so much for sharing that. I want to actually start doing captions again. So hold on just a second here. And then I will get back to, let's start with this one here. Show. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to go back to chat so I can see what everybody's saying. Scroll. I won't. No. There we go. Hey, Tim. All right. So everybody's saying hi to Tim. So I've decided that I want to get back to basics. Richie and I had talks, and this whole thing with the research that I do it because I love it. It's a passion of mine. And sometimes, though, you can get caught up in things, and then it just kind of doesn't feel like it's fun anymore. So I wanted to go back to having it fun, loving what I'm doing. And so I decided that this show, I wanted to stick with some of the lore in the East Coast that deals with mountain lions. So tonight I decided that I would actually start with the excuse me, the Truro legendary Cape Cod mountain lion, cougar, whatever you want to call it. It happened in 1981. And before, though, you get into it, though, it's like I said, I love the aspect of this research. I look into, when things were extirpated, when they were declared extinct, how many sighting reports do you get in a year? Where are these sightings happening? It's just what I do. My mind starts going in 50 million directions, and I keep going down rabbit holes, but that's what I enjoy about it. And I pull up as much stuff as I could. What I found is, though, it's very, very hard. I know that it says it's legendary. There are newspaper articles. I mean, the New York Times covered it back in 1982, right after it happened in January. There are other articles that cover it, but there's not much on it. And there's supposed to be a Polaroid picture. So I spent several days and many, many, many hours trying to find the picture that happened. And I couldn't find anything. I could find sketches. I could find, other stuff, that people had come up with, and it will state right on the bottom of it that it's not, the photo. So it's very hard to, look into something that says that they've got something, but you cannot find a single image of this photo that's supposed to have been captured. So, but like I said, I dive into things. So a lot of times, like when I look into this stuff, I know that the mountain lions were extirpated in Massachusetts in the 1700s. They said that the last known one that was killed, and that occurred in 1858. Now, so it supposedly ended the native population. But then again, we know throughout history, throughout the years, there's numerous reported sightings all the time. What I found odd about this one, though, was this happened at the Cape. Okay. This is right next to the ocean, sand dunes, it's just a very strange place for me to think, that there's going to be a mountain lion hanging out. There's not a forested area, but I don't know the Cape that well. So I was like, well, let's just look into it and see what we can find. And like I said, there was articles on it, different things, excuse me. And they have proven that there are bobcats. They had found a body of a bobcat there, so that they know that there's bobcats in the area. And in 1981, the reason that it all came about was there was a bunch of family pets and some livestock that were being killed, mauled, being found, the carcasses and stuff, and police were alerted to it. And so when they started to look into it, the last one that was brought up that really made them think that there's a possibility, and they actually did get in touch with newspapers and stuff to put this out there, because it was a 150-pound hog that was mauled to death. It had the claw marks, the neck chewed up, and it was one of those things that they did not say mountain lion. What they did say that there was, a wild animal that was on the loose, and it was attacking domestic pets and the livestock. So, of course, with that going on, you get a whole whirlwind of, oh my gosh, there's something out there. And then people trying to figure out what's going on, and stories get going. And all of a sudden, this couple in December take a photo of what looks to be like a mountain lion laying on one of the sand dunes. And dunes, not dooms, sorry, dunes. And of course, that gets everything going. But the more that it was looked into, which I found very odd, is there was no evidence whatsoever found of this big cat being there. When it's in a forest area, I can see, because they're very elusive. They're very slick. That's what they do. They stay, out of our sight. Like I've said before, you could be hiking and pass one and not even know it. But when you're on a beachy area and there's sand dunes around, you would think that there would be at least some type of prints, some type of, especially if it was lounging, some type of hair sample, anything. But they found no conclusive evidence of the animal. And then when you look into it more and more, you find that all of a sudden there's a lot of people that are saying, well, yeah, it was, it was a mountain lion. And then you have others going, no. Some people looked at the photo and said it just looked like it was too laid out. It was done too perfectly, and it looked like a mounted mountain lion. And at one point, they had talked to a gentleman. They left his name out to protect his identity, but he was an avid hunter. He was a stonemason, and he had, at the time, in his possession, a taxidermied mountain lion. And he was asked about it. He didn't deny it. He didn't say that he did it either. But a lot of signs point to the fact that maybe there's a possibility that this was a hoax, which, when it comes to any type of research, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's big cats, whether it's dogmen or anything, hoaxes really, really, really hurt, because you're looking into evidence, you're thinking you're finding something, and then to find out that it was just a sham. This, I don't know if it was, but like I said, you can't find a whole lot on the subject. It's the same stuff over and over and over again. And it makes it seems very, very leery, and it was never seen again. So what is that? A lot of people, I know this story by name. Yeah. Yeah. That is exactly what it's called. It's actually easier for me to say that the Pamet Puma than it is the other way around, because it's like a lot of these towns and stuff, they look like they say one thing and it comes out a different one. But yeah, and so then you get it now, it's gone into legendary status. So that's when you have to look at it and go, well, is it more legendary folklore, or is it something that actually did happen? It's very, very hard to tell. And a lot of times, I've said this before too, that journalists like to embellish the stuff. So it's very hard to say, but it's not impossible. I mean, there are numerous reports every year that come out of Massachusetts. And I mean, anywhere from, it could be 10, it could be 20, it could be 50. And so, and every time though, and it doesn't matter what it is, if it's here, if it's Rhode Island, if it's Maine, anytime that you have these sightings and there is a possibility of it nowadays, because in 2011, the one that got hit in Connecticut, that always gets thrown in. It always, in every article I found, it was in there. I found one for Rhode Island because I was looking into other stories that, that have been passed down over the years throughout New England and stuff. This one, though, it stuck to me because, I mean, it's literally the Cape. One place, like I said, that I would never, ever think that I would see one. But it's not out of the realm of possibility either. I mean, these cats, we've discussed, I've said it millions of times, they're adaptable to any environment. And the wounds that they were saying that the hog had are consistent with a big cat. But we do now know, even back then they were saying, no, there was no bobcats in the area, but there are bobcats. I mean, like I said, there was a body found proving that there are bobcats in the area. It's not, they're not like a common thing that you're going to see it every time, because they're just like, cougars are. They move along, they have a territory and stuff. So it's very hard to know for sure. But it's like when you're looking into things and they bring dogs in, and dogs can't pick up a trail or a scent, which is not something that is normal. That's because most of the time when people are hunting, even the scientists, when they're tracking mountain lions to tag them, they use dogs. I think it was real because the head of the Meadow Beach was a lot of rocks to walk on and the tide would wipe. Yeah, that's true too. See, that's the thing though, is you've got to think of, the location and stuff, because the police said that they didn't find any evidence whatsoever. But you're right. I mean, tides come in, things get, washed away. Any evidence could get washed away. It's hard to tell. And this is why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, BMO brought up a good point, just by doing that, if it's walking along the rocks. I know the picture was in the sand dune. That doesn't mean squat, because we know that, when the tide comes in and stuff, things get washed away. And if it's on the rocks, it's not going to leave any prints or anything like that. So it's one of those things of, I don't think we'll ever really know. We won't know if it was real. We won't know if it was a hoax. It's just one of those stories that the reason that it's legendary is because it happened and nobody knows. It's just one of those unexplained phenomenons. That's right, Mickey. They don't. I've said that 50 million times, because they did, and I've repeated this umpteen times, and I apologize, but University of Montreal proved that there are cougars below the St. Lawrence River in Montreal and in New Brunswick. But yeah, the state biologist says that, they're not in Maine. Well, I'm sorry, but they're not going to step into Maine and go, oh, sorry, I'm in Maine, I got to turn around and go back. It doesn't happen. Yeah, and wind, that's right. It depends on how much wind was going too. That's another good point, Mary. Because on the beach, a lot of times you have a nice breeze going in. You don't know. Sometimes it's a strong breeze, sometimes it's a light one. And it wouldn't matter. And what if somebody was out there after the fact? A beach area, usually you have parents, you have kids, somebody's playing, things can get knocked around. Things can end up, oops, sorry. Sorry about that. I didn't notice that the caption went down. I'll do a different one here. Let's do this one. Okay. Yeah. So, anything can be moved about. If you've got kids playing in the area and stuff, they can not know what they're not paying attention. They just want to make sand castles. They want to do whatever they can do. They're at the beach. They want to have fun. Hey, Tyler, good to see you. And so it's one of those things, and these are good points, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, because when I think of it, and I'm reading this, and it sounds amazing. What was seen. It sounds horrible with the maulings of the animals and stuff, but to have a sighting like that in the area they headed in. And then, but no evidence was found. And it was never seen again, which doesn't mean squat. It could be in transit. Like I said, they moved. They're looking for a home. Maybe that wasn't good enough or something. So it'll keep going. It's not far-fetched. This is what they do and stuff. But it's nice getting to get other people's ideas and thoughts and stuff on it. And having Bimo mention what he mentioned, and then having Mary say what she did, it does bring out the questions. This is a possibility. This, and I'm not saying it's not real. I'm praying like hell it's not a hoax, because I have already dealt with a couple of those with the research and stuff in my area. And I actually have, when I go out, I don't know if I have it or not here, because I've got a bunch of different things, but I actually have a poster board of one that goes around constantly to different states. And I've actually had people, when I was at the Cobble Mountain Critter Festival, it's a photo of a cougar walking through a backyard, and it came out of a newspaper here in Maine saying that it happened in Pittsfield, which I was like, really? And I'd never known anything about it. And when I had talked to my state biologist, he said, yeah, that's actually, he goes, I found out within, an hour that actually was from British Columbia, which made sense because of the coloring of the cougar in the photo. But anyways, I've had people come up to me and show me this photo on their phones going, this is what my cousin got, you wouldn't believe it. This is, blah, blah. And I have to keep telling them that the cousin didn't get that, and somebody else says, well, I got it in Connecticut. And then when I was at Cobble Mountain, I had somebody come up to me and go, oh, my brother got this photo at the lake, at the cabin that we have, the family has. And then he realized after the fact that it was a hoax, and he was pissed. And I can't blame him, because it's ridiculous when people do that. 2 inches smaller than you. And it's just insane. But I do, like I said, this is because of the fact that these animals were mauled, and the way that it was done. It is definitely within the realm of a big cat. They did have the explanation of maybe it was a bear. That I don't know. I don't know what it was like in the 1980s. Like here, I know that, it was random, but we did have bears that pop up every now and then, because I am on the coast. So I do get that. And we have the mountain lion sightings in my area a lot. And like I said, we're on the coast. We're not on a beach, but that doesn't mean diddly squat. Sorry, I was texting my son. I'm a grandpa. Oh, congratulations, Mick. Yay. See our grandpa. Oh, that's awesome. That is so cool. And besides this one, though, I'm going to switch over a little bit here. I was doing some researching into other, another one that happened in Gloucester. but it was Rhode Island. Um, and that's because when I was working at the ICM, I had somebody come in and was going, I'm doing my introduction and stuff. And then they realized that I do the mountain lion research. And she was like, oh, well, Rhode Island, we have this collared one that was walking around and it was super friendly and yada, yada, yada. I tried to find stuff on that back then and I didn't find a whole lot. But the more I kept looking into it, I found out that that is one of those that this is, it's like an urban legend folklore type thing. Yeah, that is so awesome, Mickey. Yay. um, and it's due to the fact that in Rhode Island, in Gloucester, there was a captive pet. Okay, it was in 2010, and it was a 200-pound female mountain lion. And the owner had passed, and his widow didn't know how to properly take care of the animals. So in comes the wildlife department to help manage it. And I guess for some reason it said Animal Planet was there too. They ended up moving it to a sanctuary in Florida to live out the rest of its life. Very friendly. But what the issue was is they legally had this. They had the permit. It was not an illegal exotic. The only reason that it was removed and taken to a sanctuary was due to the fact that the owner died and the widow asked because she could not keep up with the care of the animal. And when word got out, then all of a sudden, all these stories showed up of a collared mountain lion walking around in the woods, collared mountain lions being seen here, being seen there. The issue with that is even Inland Fisheries and Wildlife was like, we don't have any mountain lions that are collared, not with GPS. And sure, I mean, this was a pet collar because this was a pet, but people were just lashing out, and all the rumors started going, and it just snowballed, and it snowballed just out of this one cat that was legally just transported to help the woman out. It wasn't like it was an exotic pet. They didn't have the paperwork or anything, and it just snowballed. Now there was and has been, confirmed evidence of one in 2011 because they found 3 deer carcasses. The track that was near them did say it was positively a mountain lion. And then the first thing they said was in transit, and they referred it right back to the Connecticut one that got hit by a car that came from the South Dakotas, because this is what happens every time something happens, transit, and then they bring up that Connecticut Cougar now. And the sad part is that Connecticut Cougar was just like probably a couple months before their positive evidence of the mountain lion killing 3 deer in the area. So it turned into quite the lore in the area. And to me, that is this here, though, the Pamet Puma doesn't, it's not, it, to me, like I said, it may not have any physical evidence, but it's very hard to get, even if it passes through. You can go on to any of the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife pages from out west that have them, Utah, Wyoming, and stuff. And if you have a sighting, they have at the bottom that it is very hard to confirm or even track the animal because they are so elusive. Poor cat traveled 15. Yeah, only to get hit by a car. And yeah, it was so freaking sad. And that animal, I mean, it was kicked out because it was, he was male. He has to find his own territory. And he traveled and he traveled. He went through a ton of different states. He zigzagged and everything. And then he hits Connecticut and gets hit by a car. And then, yeah, I have the narrowscope, the scope that they did for him. And it's just sad. But it does prove, that the populations are getting larger, and there is a chance for these cats to move east. And with what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, it's like I'm going to be discussing like the extirpation timeline, the extinction timeline and different stuff. But I'm also going to go over what I have had a hard time with, because I do not like the topic or the term. Scientists use it a lot, and this scientist does not, and I really appreciate that. Is the term subspecies, because like I said, even with like the University of Montreal, when they did theirs, they did haplotests to try to figure out which were North American and which were South American. And 9 of the results came back that, 9 results came back South American. The other 6 came back North American. But they also specified that there was no other test they could do to determine whether or not that they were Eastern panther or if they were Western, because these animals are the same damn animal. Okay. There's no difference in them. There's a difference in the South American, but there's no difference in the North American cats. And anytime, it's like with Florida, they bring in females from Texas to bring up the population, they will use the term subspecies because, some of the panthers were from Texas. So now there's a blending. It's the same damn cat. It's the same damn species. Okay. It does not matter. And what I like about this scientist, and he does a lot with the Panthera program and stuff, is he researches, he's out in the field and he does a lot there. He's also been here over to the East Coast and stuff. He was looking into the reintroduction, which will be another topic after next week's, which will be the discussion that Vermont's having, a very heated discussion of reintroducing catamounts to the state, what it all means, because, there's all kinds of different stuff that go on. I do think the South American ones have a southern draw accent. That's funny. They actually have, because like the cougar heads are round, okay, or puma panther, whatever you want to call them. But for some reason, they've got like a bulkier, almost like a chunkier face, the South American ones. And they're just, you can tell the difference. I've have that group, Eastern Ghost Cat Research, and I have actually posted comparison photos of North American and South American cougars, and you can see the difference in them. But with the test results coming back, 9 coming back positive for, being of South American origin, you do have to realize that at this point in time, that if that happened, then most likely they are released pets, which that's how they got here, because they're not just going to, I'm sorry, you're not going to travel from South America all the way to Canada and stuff. Not that way. It's just that's a hell of a travel. And that, if you do, that's one hell of a feat. I'd be very, very impressed. But and that was one of the things with the Pamet puma. I mean, so it was there. Could that have been like a pet? I mean, it was never seen again. Could it have been one that just decided, got loose and went for a stroll? It's not going to be the first animal that takes a stroll and ends up going home, because anybody will tell you, like the sanctuaries and different stuff, when sightings are happening, they get lots of calls, and they'll tell you straight up, it's not ours. If it was ours, it would walk right up to you, because it's used to human contact. It's used to being fed by humans. It's going to come up to you and be like, hey, where's my food? Oh, my word, BMO. You're too funny. Well, and when I'm saying South American, I mean, down in Brazil and stuff, okay? Why don't they say meow? They say y'all. Gosh. Hey, John, good to see you. So glad that you're here. So with the Pamet puma, you do have to wonder, because that was one of the things that I was thinking, okay, it was seen that one time, and granted, it didn't say how many, if it was weeks or whatever, that these maulings had happened. Could it have been an escape pet? Could it, if it could it have just gotten out and then the owners got it back, whatever. Because a lot of times, and like I said, even with the Rhode Island one, okay, nobody knew. It was completely legal. All the paperwork, they had everything, but nobody knew it. So what if somebody in Mass had the same thing and it got loose? And, so I mean, there's a lot of questions to it. And it is ones that still make you think, and people will put it up there every now and then and throw stuff in there. And then you've got people that comment on it going, oh, this is an awesome story. I remember this. And then you have other people going, oh, I remember, but this is so-and-so did it. And it was all staged. And, so you get both sides of what's going on. And it would just be nice if I had remembered, when I was younger, if I'd heard something about it, because I would have loved to have heard something about it then. But it's just a ton of questions. That's great to hear. That's good. I'm glad everybody's having a good day. Ernie, I haven't seen him on here, but Ernie had a good day. He was Farmer Ernie. What do you call him? He was a Smurf with overalls and a pitchfork. He did a lot of work today in the garden. I love this. Everybody's just saying hi. It's so much fun. I love this group. I love this family. And like I said, yeah, around here, I've talked to different people, different sanctuaries that are, and stuff about that. And yeah, they get calls a lot. I am very disappointed right now. I'm not gonna say hi, Donna. Yay, good to see you. I'm very disappointed with one of the sanctuaries in my state right now. I've seen people want to do the hip tigers, but they didn't buy like 2 cows worth of meat at a time. Yeah. Like, holy shit, trying to feed that thing. Because they've made a post the other day, because I followed them. Because I follow them, I don't think I'll be doing that anymore. There's a lot of people that are excited. I'm very disappointed, because when you're a sanctuary to me and you're taking in these animals, I think that it's very important to, just make sure that they're taken care of properly. And a lot of times, a lot of people, I think, look at it money-wise. And as of October 1st, one of their female cougars gave birth to twins, their little male cubs, 2 of them. And I guess she had stopped, something went wrong. She stopped feeding them, so they had to take over anyways. And they were posting pictures and saying that, you could come and see them at certain times, but because of their schedule, it would be up in the air. And just really, really surprised that they bred her. I don't think it's a good thing to do in a sanctuary, because these cubs now are just going to grow up in a cage. They're not going to grow up in the wild. They're not, and there's a lot of times in the wild, as it is, we already know, a lot of these cats, kittens, the mom happens to die or get hit by a car, or they get abandoned. And there's so many of these young ones that have been put in zoos and other sanctuaries. And for a sanctuary to start breeding them, I don't agree with that. That's just my opinion. And I was just really bummed when I found out that they had done that, because I'd gone to see him before, and I was kind of upset when I first went up, because I wanted to see Loki when they got Loki in. He was 4 months when he came in, and I went to see him when he was 6 months old. But when I talked to the caregiver of him, I did find out that they purchased him, and they already had 2 others. But it's, I don't know. I feel like it's a money game. If you get these little ones and stuff, more people are going to come. More people are going to want to see it, because more people are going to be like, oh, they're so cute. Yeah. That would be. I was actually, when I went to Florida to visit my brother and stuff, I was looking into a couple different places. I don't see me ever moving. I want to stay in New England. because Florida already has these cats, so it kind of nulls my research and stuff. Yeah, that's basic. And that's the issue, because this sanctuary actually had its own show years back. The person who ran it, they ended up having to get rid of him because there was a lot of issues with what he did and how he did things. And one was, when I was talking to my state biologist, he had mentioned that he had seized one that was in the state, and I thought it was an illegal pet, and he had to clarify, no, it was not an illegal pet. Hold on, I've got dogs barking. I'll be right back. Sorry. Oh, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, my son is here. Him and my daughter are watching a pay-per-view, and he brought his dog. So there's 3 dogs, and mine gets overzealous and tries to play a little too rough and stuff. But yeah, so the gentleman was, when the biologist, when he said no, what it was a woman in the state had legally purchased one for a pet. She didn't have her enclosure built at her home yet, so she had asked this gentleman at the sanctuary to take the cub for her until it could, she finished up, and then it would be returned. They were all part of it. Even, the state was involved in the thing. And once it was finished, he refused to give her back her cougar, which was legally hers. So they had to go in and seize it. Yeah, I don't think, a lot of times, I think it's horrible. It goes against all their instincts. It does. It's this. I've had this discussion before, and it's horrible to me. I used to think it was, when I was a kid, it was great. Oh, I get to go see this and I get to go see that. And then you start to, Subspecies sounds like a bit of a scam. Well, Subspecies to me sounds like my favorite vampire movies out of Romania. They were cheesy B-rated movies, but yeah, it was Subspecies. Radu, the lead vampire. Organizations accredited by Global Ration member, Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance. He's strict. Yeah, that's the thing right there. And I love the Big Cat Sanctuary. I actually follow them. I follow a lot of them just to find out what's going on, and they are adamant about the not breeding. I actually am a foster for a reptile rescue here in the state, and that is one of the things too. Is we don't breed the reptiles. It's just, it goes against all ethics because there's just so many animals out there already, and it's not a good thing at all. Benno, hey Benno, good to see you. I'm surprised are you on your way to work? Usually driving when you pop in. And yeah, so I have severe issues with all of that. With the whole, breeding. And I mean, the kittens are beautiful. They're gorgeous, but I just find that it's very sad that they were brought into this world mainly to make a few bucks, because they're not going to go anywhere. And they're have already at one point enlarged the enclosures. Now they're asking for donations so that they can make them do some improvements and make them larger and stuff. And I mean, the size that they've got now, I don't think it's big enough, but that's just my opinion. It's to work. Yeah, that's what I thought. Just got here. I was listening. Yeah, it is. It's all for the money because I'm sorry. There are just, I mean, like a few years back, okay, there was one that traveled to Illinois, a cougar that traveled to Illinois, okay, and it was seen at first, everybody thought it was a joke and stuff, and they were able to find it. And then it took them several weeks before they could actually find a sanctuary that could take it and stuff. And I mean, all of this, these animals, these young ones, the ones that get hit need to be rehabilitated and stuff. I mean, there's plenty of, there should be plenty of sanctuaries that can take them instead of actually breeding these cats to continue making profit. I mean, I'm not going to announce the name because, like I said, I don't want to cause a big ruckus. It's just my opinion, and I'm not happy. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. Um, it's just no. I mean, no. You don't do this stuff, okay? You're there to educate, okay? You're there to teach. I mean, it's wrong. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. It's wrong. Because I'm just going to keep going. How are you doing, Kelly? Good to see you. And thank you for tagging me into that post. I see that there's a sanctuary in your state too. Those cats are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. And speaking of that, there was a post there. A couple people tagged me into it. Kelly asked my opinion of it, in New Hampshire, of what looked to be a mountain lion out in a field. Way out there. When you zoomed in, a lot of people said that the thing looked photoshopped. It didn't look real. It was fake. And then it was posted on some other pages for New Hampshire. It was posted on some pages here in this state. And then it was posted in other ones. And then all of a sudden, everybody started saying, well, this picture has been going around. It's been in this state. It's been in that. Well, I hadn't seen any of them. I just saw the New Hampshire one. And then I saw that. And it was still tagged with the New Hampshire in a different page and stuff. And in my opinion, when I was looking at it, and I told Kelly this, I said, I could be completely wrong. But when you zoom in, I mean, it's not clear to me. The clarity is not as clear as what they had for a zoom. But the stride, the position, the trees in the background, the bushes, the mound, everything to me looked like that's exactly what it was. It was a mountain lion. But then again, like I said, that's just my opinion. And exotic species. Yeah, well, there's a lot. I mean, there's still a lot of places that are illegally selling exotic animals too. And like I said, in 2023, the big cat law went into effect. Yes, yeah, okay, thank you, Kelly. But that's what I'm saying, because people were going, oh, it's Photoshop. But if you literally look at that photo and you bring it in, and granted, the clarity is not as good as what they have, but it's also, we're using somebody else's photo, so the clarity is not going to be as good. But it's like the position of the legs, just the way that the thing, the picture to me looks, it doesn't look like it's fake. It doesn't look like it's photoshopped. To me, it looks like that is exactly what it is. And hey, Miss Jessie. Oh, that's okay. All you did was miss my rant. And guess what, though? There was no F-bombs. I've been a good girl tonight. I've been a very good girl. So, yes, you did. Yes, you did. And what I was saying, too, was like with the Rhode Island, because you were asking the weight, okay, and stuff. And we were talking about the Pamet puma in Massachusetts, but I was also bringing up the pet, the legal pet in Rhode Island that was taken in. It was a 9-year-old, okay, female that was 200 pounds. Okay, so that print that you got, and I told you it was a big kitty, was a big kitty. The issue that I had, because you could see the toes and you could see the paw pad, but whatever went by, because something else walked by, so you've got the toes, and yeah, there's no claw marks. That thing is big, and yeah, without a doubt, that's exactly what it is. And I thank you for asking my opinion. um, Benno, fantastic. Hey, Jesse, you got to congratulate Mickey. He's a grandpa. He said a grandpa. It's a good name. Oh yeah, I love those bombs. Yeah, sure you do. You message me. Calm down. But no, this is what I wanted. I wanted to get back to this. I wanted to get back to why I do. I appreciate that. I don't consider myself a pro. Richie and I have had this discussion. I consider myself knowledgeable. I don't like the term expert or anything like that. And I but I love what I do. And if I'm wrong, I will completely admit it. If I tell you something and I find out, wait a minute, whoa, I will, hey, because that's what it's all about. I mean, I'm still learning different things. I have, like I said, a lot of knowledge, but there's still so much more to learn, so much more to do. And this is what we're all doing. I mean, we're all learning and we're doing it together, which is great. Whether it's the big cat, the Bigfoot, and stuff, and the hours that we all put in is just incredible. If I have any questions or anything that I love to ask, I will go to BMO a lot of the times because it's like, BMO, I can't remember this, and he's pulling stuff up left and right because he is the man. Okay. BMO knows his stuff. And and I've got Sam, I've got you, I've got Kurt, I've got so many people, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And this is the way it's going to continue on, is I'm going to keep going with shows that just that are fun, at least to a point. I mean, I was kind of depressing there a little while ago with the sanctuary, but that was on me. It's been a rough week. I mean, Sam knows, everybody knows, we've lost so many people in this world. And granted, they were celebrities, and I mean, they didn't. Technically, it's like a lot of people are like, oh, why do you care? Well, you know what? I feel like I lost a lot of my childhood, in the last week. It's been crazy. I mean, I know a lot of people, Dolly, and Tim Curry, and then Peter Cullen. My daughter is devastated with that because she loves the Transformer movies, Optimus Prime. She was an Eeyore fanatic. I love the fact that he was the vocalization for the very first Predator movie, because I love the Predator movies. But then I found out afterwards that Michael Wright passed, and that was a bummer to me because when I was growing up, I freaking was obsessed with the movie V. It was a mini series at first, V, and then V the Final Battle, and then they had V the TV show. So I mean, I grew up watching all that stuff. Robert Englund, Willie before he was, Freddy Krueger, and so it was kind of like, oh, man. And thankfully, I own all those. I own V the series. I own V the mini series, the movie, and the Final Battle. And and Tim Curry going. I mean, he was a big part of my kids, Muppets, Treasure Island. My son is a horror fanatic, so of course, Pennywise and stuff, and just he loved Home Alone. So when he's in Home Alone 2, my son was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Tim Curry." So we lost a lot of good people. And granted, though, I mean, they were all up there in age, so they lived nice, good lives. It just feels like part of your childhood and your memories are just kind of gone, just like that. Yeah, it does feel like we're being reset. The past is slowly disappearing. And that's one of the things, like, even with like this, okay, and other stories and different things with the research, you got to keep it going, because if you don't, I feel like sometimes a lot of our past is being erased, and I don't like it. Oh, yes, Mickey. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely love that series. I thought that the whole cast was great. The movie, when the first part of the movie was okay, and then it started to scare the shit out of me. But now I'm watching the series again. I got it and I watched it with my daughter, and I was like, oh my god, how lame was this? But it was. I know it was so close to that too. Hey Jason, good to see you. And yeah, it's like I feel the same way. History's kind of slowly disappearing, and sometimes I feel like it's being erased, and it's just good to remember, to reminisce, and just kind of go over stuff. um Tim was awesome in Congo. Yes, I remember that. God, I do. I was like, wait a minute, that's right. I love that when you think of something. Well, it's just one of those things that it's, oh yeah, it's like, if I want a nostalgic moment now, if I ever feel down and stuff and I need a good cry, I always go to Steel Magnolias. So I'll get Dolly there because I love that movie. That is like the best friendship movie ever, ever. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna get ready to close. I think I've dragged you guys out enough. Some of these shows are probably gonna get longer, just because of stuff that I'm gonna be covering. Because I want to start at some point going over different states and different things with their sightings and stuff for the East, because there's a lot going on. I mean, before I go though, Indiana. See, there's going to be another story going around because Indiana this week had reports of a lioness and a cub walking around in a field. And so the police had been out, they had drones out, they had planned, the thing couldn't be spotted. Now, what I find extremely rare with this is you've got a lioness and you've got a cub. Okay, so and none of the sanctuaries, none of the zoos, nobody was missing a lioness or a cub. So where did this thing come from? Okay. And why is there a cub with her unless somebody's breeding the animal? They haven't found any evidence or anything, but I'm going to keep up on that, and we'll see where this one goes. Okay. So, hey, Carrie, good to see you. The crackling sound he got from the sound of the crab dying. Oh, yes. Great voice actor. Yep. Wow. Thanks, Jean. Always keep us on our toes. Yeah. Okay. Well, tonight was kind of a slower night. Yes, I have drawn a predator. My nephew actually has the drawing because I was kind enough to give it to him. And if I can ever find a photo, I had to take a photo of it, and I'll try to find it so I can show you BMO. But I was very, very happy on how my predator came out. And I took my nephew and my son to see AVP when that first came out. And my son has always been an alien fanatic, and I'm a predator fanatic. And my nephew was, of course, taking his best friend's side. And then when he came out of the movie theater, he was like, Auntie, you were right. Predator is awesome. So I was kind enough to give it to him. His nephews, his sons, my great nephews, come over every now and then. I've taken him out bigfooting with me. And Caden, he's now in high school, but at the time he was like 10. He come up to me and he was like, did you draw that predator that my daddy has? And I said, yep. She goes, oh my gosh. And yes. Okay. So Tuesday night, remember to check out Home of the Boom with your host Wojo and co-host Mr. Richie B. Wednesday night is going to be Curious Cryptids. So make sure you check that out. The first show was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, like I said, go over, check it out. Get yourself caught up for a Wednesday night show. Friday will be Sam's Pretty Paranormal, hopefully doing her live investigation, which I cannot wait. And I do pray, fingers crossed, that the weather holds up for her. Saturday night will be Banter with Richie B with your host, Mr. Big Boss Man Richie B, and his co-host Wojo. Last night they were out in the woods for a very, very, very long time. A lot of great stuff happening there. So you want to, if you haven't seen it, please get over and get a recap of that, because there was a lot of great stuff that happened last night. And remember to hit the Facebook page for MeBro, the Mother Earth Bigfoot Research Organization. Get over there, like that. Make sure you hit the YouTube channel, hit like and subscribe, because we are going to start going live, boots to the ground research. Richie's going to get that all going the way he wants. And I will see you next Sunday night. And next Sunday night, I will be talking the extirpation and the extinction of the cougars in the East. I'm going to try to cover all of the Eastern states with that and different reports. And at some point, like I said, I'll be going over all of these files back here. And I have just two binders that are this thick of reports that come out of Kurt's state of Pennsylvania. So it's going to be, the shows are going to, like I said, going to get back to why I do what I do, why I love what I do. And I'm just going to keep it that way, have it fun. I enjoy everybody on here. We have such a great time. The whole family, the Banter family is amazing. Love you guys all. Remember to always follow your dreams, no matter how tough it seems to be. You know, life's too short. And always too, remember, when it comes to life and research, sometimes you just got to say, what the hell? Good night, guys. Bye.